This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks, hour number 2 on Monday, the 9th of August. No, 9th of August. I'm going to try to make it September. 9th of August. I have a Marion County Historical Commission meeting later tonight. If you want to come out and find out what we do at the Marion County Historical Commission, come to the, I never remember the name of the room. What's the name of the room right next to, I got Billy Woods in the studio with me. Right there at the very end of the library building, Billy, out from permits and everything, that little community center, the little room, I forget the name of it. It's at the end of the library, though.
Yeah, you got me.
You go to the library, and then you got permits and everything for the county right there in the library parking lot. It's at the end of that building. So we do that at 6 o'clock, so I encourage you to come out and find out what the Marion County Historical Commission does. We are a sunshine commission who reports straight to the county commissioners.
That's appropriate. That's the old J.M. Fields building.
That is. So, I report straight to the commission, kind of like you have to have interaction with the commission. And recently it was not all gumdrops and roses.
Well, it's not all the unicorns and everything that occurs. Let me say this. I appreciate every single one of my commissioners. We do disagree. We are going to argue, but I respect the process in which we have in place. And I don't hold anything against them and when they question me or even when we get these contentious moments.
You're actually working when you're doing it, and just they're working for their constituents, the members of Marion County. You are too, but you're also working for the men and women that wear your uniform.
That is correct.
Yep. So sometimes adults get a little frustrated with each other every now and then.
We all got different opinions. We all got different personalities.
But your goal is the best for Marion County.
That is exactly right.
And that's all I can ask for as a voter. All I ask for is all my elected officials have what's best for Marion County in their thoughts.
That's exactly what it is. All 5 of them do, and myself do, and all your constitutional officers do. So when we fight, it's because what we think is the best in our minds, and sometimes that does come in conflict.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you're going to work out. But you have to, the problem with the way our system is set up with the sunshine law and all, these disagreements have to be done in public.
That is correct.
And so that people key in on that. Disagreements like this happen in the corporate world all the time. They're just not in front of the public view like county commission meetings are and all, because the legislature says you got to have your discussions and arguments in public.
No, and that's what makes it difficult. It's because sometimes you don't get information or they don't get information until they're sitting in front in the public eye like that, and then we don't have the opportunity to discuss it off to the side, so we don't look like what happened at some county commissions. For us, this is rare, and I agree. You're absolutely right, Tom. We do everything, and the end result will be our citizens will be taken care of.
I do know that compared to the last group that was in the sheriff's department chair where you are now, there were a lot more contentious conversations than you've had with county commissions. So you've had a few, but they're not every 2 weeks. So
that's correct.
You do have a very good working relationship with the commissioners.
The way I see it, if you're not having disagreements, then you're not doing your job.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And I thought that all in all, that by the end of it, you still had a smile on your face. There was,
absolutely.
Everybody was treating everybody like adults. There was just a disagreement on how to get funding.
And I will always respect each and every one of them.
Let's talk for a minute about a tragedy that happened near my house. I know that it was turned over to FHP, but it is a citizen of yours that is no longer with us.
Correct.
Kimberly De Leon, she was, by admission, she was skateboarding in the middle of the road.
Right.
In a very, very dark area with no kind of clothing on that would be seen by a car. So to get hit in that situation, if the person had done the right thing and stopped, stayed till the police got there and all, we'd have a different conversation than we're having.
Yes.
But instead, a coward happened.
Correct.
And the only thing I can figure is the coward was either unlicensed and undocumented or was inebriated, under the influence of something.
You're absolutely correct, Tom. Typically, when we, because I worked for the Ocala Police Department, and I worked a lot of traffic homicide cases. And when we have crashes like at night like this, especially with pedestrians, and you have a hit and run involved, the odds are pretty good. It's one of those things that you just stated.
Right.
You know, they're intoxicated and they left the scene. They don't have a driver's license, in which, you know, the driver's license, you know what happens typically when someone gets stopped or even a crash for not having a license, unless they're a habitual offender.
They get a citation.
That's it. They don't go to jail, okay, unless there's other circumstances, there's other things. There's always exceptions to the rules, but the overwhelming majority of the time they just get a ticket. And tragically in this incident, we got a young individual that has been killed.
Yes.
And this person just fled. And you're right. We don't know because we weren't there. He or she, whoever this person is that fled away, the coward, could have saved this individual's life.
You never know.
You never know. That's exactly right.
Turned off their lights
Yep.
so that their tag couldn't be seen well.
Yep.
And drove off. To me, I know it's not premeditated. Running somebody over is not premeditated. But leaving the scene of that attitude was premeditated.
That's pretty close, especially when you turn your lights off.
When you turn your lights off, you know you're trying to avoid detection then.
Absolutely. You are.
And somebody goes, well, what would you have been upset with them, Tom, if it was a hit and run? But what they did is because it's so dark, they went down to the fire station and told the fire station, hey, I just run somebody over. That'd have been perfectly okay.
Absolutely.
But they didn't do that.
Yeah.
They went by the fire station. From all indications that they went down 326 over the railroad tracks pretty fast.
Gone. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that individual deserves to be in the jail.
Now, even though that was a county-maintained road, that's turned over to FHP. What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, the sheriff's office has never worked crashes. So right now in Marion County, now each county's different. Probably, I believe it is the last number I saw, about half of the county's sheriff's offices do not work crashes. They leave it to the Florida Highway Patrol. I'm pretty sure over time, eventually, sheriff's offices will have to start working them, but we each have manpower issues. So FHP has the authority throughout the entire state to work those crashes. It's just a matter of workload is what it boils down to.
So any information now is coming out of FHP. It's not generated out of the sheriff's department on this situation anymore.
That is correct. Yep.
I know there's a GoFundMe page and a Facebook page. I know there was the last check $10,000 reward for any information that leads to the coward that did this to be arrested. And somebody goes, Tom, why are you calling him a coward? They could have no. You leave the scene of an accident, coward.
That's exactly right.
There's no other word that I got for you.
Especially when you just said what you said. Turned your headlights off.
Coward.
Yeah. Coward is exactly right.
Slowed down, looked. According to eyewitness, slowed down, looked, had their head out the window, saw that it was a person. That's when the lights went off and they sped away.
Correct. They killed an individual. Okay.
Killed an individual. And somebody goes, she was skateboarding in the middle of the road. Not important to this conversation.
No. Mm-mm.
She was skateboarding and got run over, and then the individual coward who ran her over left.
Correct.
That's the crime.
That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the crash itself, her actions. We're talking about his or her actions after the
crash.
Fact.
That's where the crime was committed. Up until the time they drove off, this was a tragic accident.
That's correct.
Once they drove off, now they've created a felony by leaving the scene of an accident with injury or death.
That is correct.
And and there's no coming back from that.
No, there isn't. You can't bring that life back, and this individual gets to go scot-free in this world, and knowing that they killed this individual. And that's what it simply is, because they fear exactly what you said, the consequences of their wrongdoings. Plain and simple as that.
Plain and simple. That's all it is they were scared of what the retribution they would have to face.
Correct.
And so cowardly they drove off.
That's the definition of coward.
100%. When you're afraid of the results of your actions, so you leave so you don't have to deal with the result of your actions.
Coward.
Yella.
Big time.
What was that song, Kenny Rod? Coward of the County?
Coward. Yeah, oh my word, I haven't heard that one in a long while.
You know, that right now they're the coward of the county.
Yes, they are.
We got to talk about the shoot 'em ups that are going on. And I know that Mike Balkin, I talked to him last week about this. There's a lot of rash of shootings, 4 or 5 that have happened in the city within the last week and a half. There was shooting at the mall, right in the food court parking lot where I used to park on a regular basis.
I park there myself.
Thank you for being over here at the airport now, WOCA. But it's not all fun and games in the county either. You've had your share of shootings in the county.
We have. because the bad guys, they don't pay.
They don't care about lines.
No, they don't. They don't care. City, county, state to state. They don't care. And in many cases, they don't even care about nation to nation. So we do have a lot of the shootings occurring. A lot of these shootings, especially in particular these cases, you have individuals that witness it and then don't want to cooperate with us. And even sometimes the victims themselves that do not want to cooperate with us and do not want to tell us because they know who it is. They see them because typically what we're dealing with is individuals who are in the crime world themselves. And they do not help us. If one, I'll hold my tongue because we're on the radio, but if one dirtbag, and I have another term for him, but if one dirtbag wants to shoot another dirtbag, I have a problem when they do it in the public, okay, where innocent lives could be taken.
Yes. I know that there is a thought process, not by the sheriff's department or police department, but a thought process in the community that why are we even investigating dirtbags shooting dirtbags? And it's because you're sworn to uphold the Constitution, you're sworn to uphold
Correct.
the laws of the state, and murder's against the law. Shooting somebody's against the law.
That's exactly
Whether it's two dirtbags doing it or not, it's still against the law.
We still have to do our job. And you know what's even more tragic is the individuals, and I don't know what Chief Balkin told you, but there was an innocent life in that vehicle. Helpless.
In the mall parking lot?
In the mall parking lot and in the vehicle.
Yeah, in the mall parking lot vehicle, there was a child in the vehicle.
That is correct.
Yeah, 18 months.
That is correct.
18 bullets got fired into this vehicle.
And that's the total, individual. So you asked me why we investigate them?
Yeah.
Is because the individuals doing the shooting does not care about the life of that little human being that's in that vehicle.
100%. 18
because
bullets.
That 18-month-old, or however the infant was, I believe it was 18 months old.
18 to 20 is what the news story
Okay.
said.
Is an innocent individual that cannot protect its life.
Just sitting in a car seat.
So my job and my deputy's jobs and the Ocala Police's job is to protect all lives regardless.
And a 21-year-old woman was shot. 17-year-old man was shot. Miraculously, by God's grace, the baby was unharmed.
Correct. That's what it boils
18
down
bullets
to.
bouncing around in his car, baby's
Yep.
unharmed.
That is absolutely correct.
It just, and I know that I've talked to people on the street and everything. They're like, it's just a drug deal gone bad. Let them kill each other. That can't happen.
No.
We can't have that on our city streets where you just let them kill each other because collateral damage happens all the time.
That is correct. And that's where my heart is about the collateral damage, the innocent lives out there, the ones that cannot protect themselves.
But Billy Woods is not saying if he finds who shot this car up, even if the people that got shot at have criminal records,
Oh, no.
if he finds out who shot up the car, Mike Balkin finds out who shot up the car,
We're going to
they're
put them in jail.
prosecuting them.
Oh,
they're going to
absolutely.
jail.
We're going to put them in jail because they are our problem.
Right. You're right. And we've talked about this numerous times, you and I, is how do we combat, because I see this as one problem only.
Right.
The criminals' lack of respect for life. And I know when you shoot somebody, they're dead.
That is correct. That's part of the equation, their lack of respect for human life or for others. But the other thing, the bigger issue and problem that it's in society itself is the lack of accountability throughout life itself, period.
Yes.
Lack of accountability when they were young, within the home, a lack of accountability even within our court systems, that is occurring right now, especially in the juveniles. It is a lack. Here's what happens.
If you're under the age of 17, commit all the crimes you want because they're letting you out.
That's exactly right. And that's what's frustrating for us in law enforcement is we bring them to them. They don't even see the inside of a jail. They get released. They
Because
get
they're
put
a
out there.
juvenile.
Correct. And this misnomer out there that individuals think, well, they're juvenile and they need a lot of help. I'm here to tell you, a lot of these juveniles, it is not their first offense. The problem is when you steal that little piece of candy and more, and then you continue on, there's no accountability for the wrongdoings that an individual does.
None. And when you're juvenile and you rob somebody with a gun and a judge, because you're charged as juvenile, gives you a year in juvenile custody and counseling and everything. And if you're a good manipulator as a juvenile, by the way, I will tell you I was a great manipulator as a juvenile. If you're a good manipulator as a juvenile, you can convince doctors and social workers and all that. Yeah, I've found the right way and everything. Say whatever it is to get you back outside.
Correct.
And that's just the training ground now. Now they know how to work it.
Work it.
That continues through their adult life.
That is absolutely correct. And the worst part is a lot of these shooters, even the particularly the adult ones, you know, they talk about reform and jail reform and confinement reform and releasing people. I am not in favor of any of these new bills that are out there to try to cut the time of individuals, because in our state prisons, there is no first offenders. No such thing as first offenders in our state prisons, okay? Because you almost have to commit 15 to 20 crimes before you even get put in prison.
I will tell you this. The state of Georgia is thought of by criminals. I'll tell you this. I used to be a criminal. I don't hide that fact. I was not always a nice person. The state of Georgia is thought of to be much more stringent on their laws and penalties than the state of Florida is.
Right.
Okay? And in the state of Georgia, there are no first offenders in prison. And it's supposed to be tougher to criminals thinking than, but I know this because I was a 3-time offender.
Right.
My first offense, I did 51 days in the county jail because I couldn't afford a bail. My mom said, nope, sit there. Thought that'd teach me a lesson. It didn't, because I wasn't that smart at the time. Got out of the county jail with probation, had 3 years probation. As long as I did that probation fine, I wasn't in prison.
Right.
About 11 months before that probation was up, I made another mistake. Now I'm back in jail. Now I went to prison for the first time. So
Yeah.
I was not a first offender in prison.
No.
Nobody is a first offender. Just like nobody's innocent. 99.9% of people aren't innocent in prison. There's no first offenders in prison.
Yeah.
Unless you commit murder the first time you did anything wrong.
Correct. But
that's few and far between.
the odds of that are slim. You know, I tell people this all the time. When we look at them, we look at these shooters and we look at the ones that are in jail. You know, our problem with all these shootings, they've committed other crimes throughout their entire life.
Certainly.
Do you know when I can account or be assured that they will not commit crimes in my community is when they're sitting in my jail, right? Here's the other thing. I tell people this. Al Capone. What did Al Capone go to prison on?
Tax evasion.
That's it.
That's all.
His first offense.
2 years got for tax evasion.
Correct. Do you think that is the only time that Al Capone committed a crime?
No, he had been arrested numerous times.
Correct.
It's the first time they stuck anything on him.
Got it on him. But he was put in prison for tax evasion. Now, once he was in there, do you not believe or proven that the crimes began to decrease of what he was being able to do?
Of course. They cut the head off the snake.
Correct. So when we are able to put an individual, regardless of what the charge is in jail or in prison, what I do know is they cannot commit those crimes when they're out here in the community.
Let's talk about, you took a trip recently.
Yes.
You went to the U.S.-Mexican border.
I did.
A lot of people say, well, why would the sheriff of Marion County and the police chief of Ocala join Representative Kat Kamak at the border? That don't confront us. I talked to Mike Balkin about this. He gave me very real reasons why it confront us. Why, Billy, was it important that you went to the border and you saw what was going on at the U.S.-Mexican border?
You know, as the sheriff, my responsibility is to find the root causes of the crimes that occur in this county. And going out there and making contact with our law enforcement, I got a true picture. Here's the truth. We were on the ground less than 36 hours. I learned more in those less than 36 hours than I could learn in a lifetime of classroom setting of how the criminals, their tactics. I learned new tactics from law enforcement. But the problem is what's occurring at the border is occurring here in Marion County. Every town is a border town. Every city is a border city. I believe Chief Balkin mentioned to you about the confiscation of the narcotics in which we got directly
from the border.
That's exactly right. Because I had a picture of it. Okay, the fentanyl, and it has a cartel stamp on it. And I showed it to one of the investigative divisions that are there. And I showed them the picture. They knew exactly who the cartel was. They told me exactly where it was coming across as well, too. So individuals, everything that we saw. Now, look, it broke my heart. Broke my heart to see the children. And the children are being abused. They're being a pawn, a back and forth of getting the illegals across the border.
They're like that annual pass that you use to get in the gate of Disney, and then you take it out and give it to your uncle so he can use it to get in the gate of Disney. That's what the children are being used as.
That's exactly right. So they can get them in and out. So these children that are coming across, the odds are, this ain't an if. This is what is occurring. I went there so we can see it firsthand. You know, the governor's sending our state officers to help the governor over in Texas, and I commend the governor for doing it, because now I have seen exactly what's occurring, because what they're doing, law enforcement isn't really getting to be able to do enforcement. What they're doing is babysitting the individuals, because the cartel are taking advantage of the opportunity, what's going on in the policies and the lack of policies that right now at the border are, and getting the criminals into the United States. And for those individuals out there to think that nothing's going on or this is some made-up story, I'm here to tell you, myself, Chief Balkin, and the other sheriffs, we saw it firsthand. We witnessed it, and it's occurring. And every one of you have got your heads buried in the sand. And this includes the ones in D.C., all the legislators, and the citizens out here that are listening. You don't think anything's occurring? I'm here to tell you, you're fooled, you're blind, and you need to wake up.
And a lot, somebody goes, well, how's that affect us? First off, the drugs came right over the border, right to here, with the stamps that were showed to the investigators out there. They told you when and where they're coming over the border. 2, we have a very, very important migrant population here.
We do.
A very important migrant, with the horse farms and with the cattle farms, and with just below us the citrus and everything, and the fields that have to be picked and everything. We have a very serious migrant gathering here.
We do, and
they will come. The illegals know that, and they know where the money's at.
But here's the big picture: is the illegals that come are taken away from the jobs of the individuals, our migrants that do come here like that, our migrant workers who are important.
Paid the $7,000-$8,000 to get here legally.
Correct, and they're important to our farm industry here. They really are. These are hardworking individuals, and then you got these other groups that are being shoved in. Here as an American, they infuriated me. Okay, and I don't know what Chief Balkin told you. When we first saw the first group of illegals that were there at the wall,
right,
and being processed. Oh, here's, by the way, being processed, they're only checked for 2 things. You want to know why COVID's so bad? They only check for scabies and lice when they come in.
No COVID check.
No COVID check whatsoever. And 70%, they estimated that's coming across the border, the illegals are coming to the state of Florida. 70%. I lost track of thought there, Tom.
Yeah. How many coming across the border coming right here? Taken away from my migrant workers?
Yeah, and well, I was going in a different direction.
I like you call them illegals too, because that's not the term the Democrats want you to use.
Correct.
They want you to use border crossers, or I forget what the word is they want. But they're breaking the law by coming in here without proper documentation.
That's correct. They're not going through the proper process.
That's an illegal activity.
They're not going through the proper process. Oh, I know what it was, Tom. I was on the plane. When we saw the first group, they told us, they said, you'll see some of these individuals on the plane when you come home. We were like, yeah, whatever, okay. The day we got on the plane, half of my plane, and they were right, half of my plane was filled with these illegal aliens on my plane.
Coming back here.
Now, they're given a free ticket. Now, you and I, when you and I come in, we got to show ID to get on the plane. They do not. We have to go through security. We almost to the point of almost a strip search, because we got to take our belt, shoes, and everything else off, right?
They do not.
They do not go through security. They get put on a plane, and they get shoved all throughout the United States. Not hundreds, not thousands, but hundreds of thousands of individuals. And once they get here, they're free to go wherever they so choose.
Without any kind of documentation?
No. And the other sad thing here is there's the NGOs, is what they call them, non-government organizations. And I'm not going to call out, because they gave us some names, and I'm not going to call them out on this radio. But these NGOs who pay for those tickets, then give the individual thousands of dollars to come into the United States. They're nonprofit organizations. They turn around and then ask for reimbursement, the NGOs, from the federal government. The funding from the federal government to these individuals is coming from our FEMA funding for our hurricane reliefs every year, in which we have here in the state of Florida. Now, as an American, it infuriates me.
Unbelievable. Sheriff Woods, if anybody wants to find out more, where can they go? You got a Facebook page, website. Tell people where they can go keep up to date with what's going on with Marion County.
Well, MarionSO.com, my Facebook page, the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Go to any one of those. There's daily, my PIOs do a daily report or a weekly report of the activities going on in Marion County.
Thanks, Sheriff, for coming in.
It's my pleasure.
Talk to you next time.
You got it.
We'll be right back after the show.